right, so for number one, again, we knew this was the right triangle because that we knew this long side was 13 because it does say up here that the longest side is 13. And then my other sides are 12 and 5. It doesn't matter that they match as long as they are the sides that are on the right angle. All right, Dylan, what formula do I need to use to find this area? A equals BH divided by 2. Hannah, what are my base and my height going to be here? 5 times 12 divided by 2. Do I even need the 13? No, that was just extra information. The base is 5, the height is 12. Stop tapping our desk, and then we're going to divide by 2. So for my area, when I multiply those out and divide by 2, what do I get for my area, Taylor? 30, because we got to remember to do the dividing by 2. All right, let's look at number 2. So make sure you've circled the correct answer on number 1. Let's look at number 2. It says, what is the area of the triangle below? Again, it's a triangle, so we're using A equals BH divided by 2. On number 2, what are my base and my height, Alexandra? 6 and 8, or I would probably do 8 as my base and 6 as my height. Again, it doesn't matter. That's just because, you know, I like my base to be bottom, my height to be up and down. All right, divided by 2, and that is a 2. All right, and so my area here, when I do 8 times 6 divided by 2, Zach?
8 times, sorry, it'd be 48.
Daniela? 24. You got to remember to divide by 2. It's not just 8 times 6. Divided by 2. So make sure we circle the correct answer on number 2. Make sure we circle the correct answer on number 2. Before we start looking at our notes for today, I kind of want to put this up here because I think this is some really interesting information. So y'all had a test on Friday. Those test grades are in iNow. I will give those back to you once I've had them all made up. This is just the statistics from the test. So, first period's class average was a 92. They had 4 100s. Y'all's class average, y'all had the highest class average. Y'all also had an astronomical amount of 100s. This is huge, 11 100s in one classroom. That is awesome. I'm super, super proud of y'all. All right, what I do want to point out, because I think this is kind of interesting, first period only had 4 100s. Y'all had 11. That's huge. First period was only 2 points short of y'all. Why do you think that is? What do you think is causing that? Luke?
Most of the grades in their class aren't as low as ours.
Most of the grades in this class are really, really high. They might have only had 4 100s, but they had a lot that were like in the upper 90s. All right, so that's one thing that's causing that. Any other thoughts? Mateo, what do you think?
I think it's because it's first period.
Okay, so we talked about, first period does usually have a very high class average. Getting math out of the way in the morning, first thing, might have some benefits. McKenna?
Maybe we're getting, some kids are getting 100s, but the kids that aren't getting in the 80s are getting really, really low grades.
Yeah, so that's an interesting, so y'all have a lot of 100s, but maybe y'all have a lot of grades that are kind of on the opposite end, which is what's bringing that class average down to a 94, which is still a super high class average. That is awesome. So this is what you look at the range for first period. Their range is 26. Y'all's range is 28. Since their range is smaller, it's only smaller by 2 points, but what does that mean about their numbers?
That their lowest number could be two less than.
So in general, their grades were a little bit closer together. So first period, their range is a smaller number because their numbers were closer. Y'all's range was just a little bit bigger, so y'all's are further apart. Do we know how many numbers were on the high end and how many numbers were on the low end? No. We're going to talk about something today called a box-and-whisker plot, and it's going to let me compare where the scores are located. All right, so we're going to talk about that in a minute. This is something, guys, right here, that 11 100s. That is really, really awesome. I'm really proud of y'all. That's fantastic. Yes. How did you get that? So Locke just said the lowest grade was the lowest grade of 72 because when she takes that range and puts it with 100, the other score has to be a 72. So in here, yes, the lowest class grade in here was a 72. That means no one made lower than a C. And I know some of you are like, oh my goodness, I mean, a C for you on a test would be the end of the world. All right? Guys, sometimes you get a test and your mind goes blank. Has that ever happened to anyone here where you just got a test and you're like, I know I did this, but I can't think of any of it right now? Guys, that happens. It happens to the best of us. I'm going to be honest with you. It happened to me one time in college, and I still remember it to this day. I was in Cal 3. It was a test on sequences and series. I literally just started crying. Like, I'm in college crying in the middle of this test because I couldn't remember anything. Like, it was awful. So it happens to all of us. And I know some of y'all, again, y'all saw that 72 as the lowest grade. Guys, that's not awful. The fact that no one made lower than a C in here, that's awesome. That's why y'all's class average is so high. And did you have that many C's for you to have an average of a 94? Probably not. Probably not. All right. Let's look at what we're doing today, though. I just kind of wanted to throw this out here because, again, guys, this 11/100s is really, really awesome. I'm proud of you. Guys, the fact that every single class, I had 4, 11, 4, 2, 4, 8. Has someone added this up? How many 100s were there in Miss Sawyer's 6th grade math classes? Did anyone add that up? Can someone? Dylan? 33 100s on a test. That is fantastic, y'all. I'm just like, ooh, that's the way to start the 9 weeks. Love it. All right, so we're going to add number 12 today. Adding 12 to our notes today, we're going to talk about box and whisker plots. On Friday, I'm going to repeat, close to the microphone. On Friday, we have a test. Because then we have spring break. Do y'all want to try to remember a bunch of math stuff over spring break? No. Probably not. So we're going to do a test on Friday. On Friday, it says data representation test. So, guys, we're still talking about statistics. If we're talking about data, data is part of statistics. It's the information. Very good. That was on that vocabulary. All right. But on Friday, instead of focusing on finding the mean, the median, the mode, we're still going to have a question where you have to show me you can do that still. We're also going to focus on different ways to show our data. So today, if we're talking about box and whisker plot, this is a type of graph you could see your data on. Tomorrow, we'll talk about stem and leaf and a histogram. Wednesday, we're going to talk about data distribution. So that just means how is it passed out? Is it close together? Is it far apart? What are different ways we can describe that? Thursday, you will get a test review kind of going through those 3 different representations that we've discussed this week. And then Friday, we'll have the test. Thursday, your test review and Friday's test should be laid out very similarly. So if there's 3 questions on box and whisker on the review, there's 3 questions on box and whisker on the test. These are not workshop still. Sorry, started to try to pass out the wrong thing. Try this again. Okay. Make sure you've updated your table of contents. Yes.
This right told us how like a stem and leaf plot works.
Okay, then y'all be ahead of the game. Because we're not just going to do stem and leaf. We're going to do something called double stem and leaf. Alright? But if you remember, if you have Miss Wright and she talked to you about stem and leaf, they're pretty easy. In fact, today the box and whisker are probably the hardest ones. Box and whisker are the hardest, and then we'll kind of get easier as we go. Hopefully. All right. All right. Make sure you've updated your table of contents. Trying to find my pen. There it is. All right. So today this is going to be number 12. Number 12 in our notes. All right. We're talking about box and whisker. Now, box and whisker has 5 data values on it. All right. Box and whisker has 5 data values on it. All right. The first 3 that we're usually going to find are going to form the box. So I'm going to put up here. This is going to make the box. And what I use to make the box is the middle number, which is called the median. So we're going to find the median. Once I find the median, what does that make it easy to find after that? The LQ, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile. So the box is going to be made up of 3 pieces. So when we say the box, it's kind of like a box where it's going to be split in half. So it's going to be a box split in half. The box is the median, the LQ, and the UQ. All right, after I make the box, I need the whiskers, because it literally is what it sounds like. It is a box, and then it's going to have 2 lines. The 2 lines are called whiskers because they go off the side, just like a cat has the whiskers that go off the side of its face. All right, so after the box, then we're going to have the whiskers. Okay, and my whiskers, and you notice I just put that on the line below so that I could label it. The whiskers are going to be made up of the smallest value and the largest, or the highest, largest value. So the box is the median, LQ, and UQ, and then the whiskers are the smallest and the largest. Okay. This right here, these 5 values form 4 sections on your graph. 4 sections. Have we talked about 4 equal sections in statistics? Zach? Quartiles. Called quartiles. Will you get the top paper off the tall stack? Thank you. All right. All right. Y'all ready to do an example? Okay, I'm going to give you a second. All right. So number 1 gives us this example of basketball, and it says the line plot shows the number of points scored during 11 games. We want to make a box and whisker. So I have all of these points. This is also, it's called a line plot. It's also called a frequency chart because it tells me how many times 58 is there. How many times is 58? How many times did they score 58? Twice. How many times did they score 69? Once. How many times did they score 72? Once. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I need to be able to find the median, the LQ, and the UQ, is I'm going to list those numbers out in order. All right. So let's list those numbers out. I'm going to just list them right below. What's the first number? 58. The first number on my list. So 58, after 58 I have another 58 because there were 2 X's there. So I have 58 and 58. Are we okay with that? After 58 and 58, then I have 60. After 60, 61. After 61, 61 again. After 61 again, 63. After 63, 67, and I need that twice. After 67, 68, and I need it once. After 68, and then 72. Okay, so there's my list of numbers. Now guys, when I do a box and whisker, do y'all see this number line down here? I'm going to be graphing it on the number line, but I need my list of numbers to find the information. Are we okay with that? Some people last period, the biggest struggle has been, I'm not using these numbers to make when I graph my box and whisker, I'm using them to find the values, and then I'm going to graph it on the line. Are y'all okay with that? All right, so when I look at this, to find the median, I'm going to start on the outside. And some people have said it's easier to use like 2 kind of pens or markers. So starting on the outside and working my way in. So what do I get as my median? 63. And that is my median, M-E-D. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and find the other ones that make the box. So the median makes the box. What else makes the box? The lower quartile. So on my lower quartile in the center I have 60. So there's my LQ. And then on the upper quartile, 68. So there's my UQ. Okay. All right, so we're going to make our box. Again, I'm making my box on the number line. Now this is going to be a little different. Normally when I put stuff on the line, it has to be on the line. For box and whisker, because I need to make a box and I need to draw whiskers to make it visible, I'm going to do it right above. Please stop, Taylor. Okay. So my median at 63, I'm going to draw a line. So there's 63. So above 63, I'm drawing a line. Do y'all see that? Using the number line. Are we okay with this? After 63, what else do I need on my box? I have my median. What else? So looking at that definition, I have my median. What else do I need? The lower quartile. So where 60 is, I'm going to draw a line. Because at the end of this, guys, I'm going to be able to connect the lines to make a box. That's why I'm drawing lines right now. Okay, and then I need my UQ, which is at 68. So there's 68. I'm going to draw a line. And now I'm just going to connect these. Okay, so y'all see my box? Are we okay with that? So there's the box. And it's split in half because that's the median. Are we okay with that? All right. Then it says the whiskers, the smallest value. What's my smallest value? 58. So I'm going to put a dot there. And I'm going to draw a line connecting it to a box. That line is called the whisker. And now I've got to do the highest value, which is 72. So I'm going to put a box there and draw a line connecting it, making another whisker. Okay? That is it. Guys, how many pieces are there on this graph? How many different pieces are there? We have 5 different values, but we have 4 different sections, right? This forms, see where we said it forms 4 sections called quartiles. 1, 2, 3, 4. And do you remember what we said about quartiles? Quartiles have to be equal to each other. Do y'all agree with that? So look, guys, 58, 58, 61, 61, 67, 67, 69, 72. All right, we're forming 4 different pieces here, okay? If these pieces all have to be equal, what percent of the data is in each section? If all of my pieces have to be equal, what percent of the data is in each section? Alexandra? 25. So I'm going to use a different color to write this in. You don't have to. So that means that this whisker is 25% of my data. The first half of the box is 25% of my data. The second half is 25% of my data, and then the last one is 25% of my data. Do y'all see that? Okay. So which section would my numbers have to be the closest together? In which section would my numbers be the closest together? Hannah? I'm sorry, what you would call these, you have the first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, fourth quartile. Huh? They're all equal. They all have the same amount of numbers. But you see how some of them have more space? If it has more space, they can be spread out. The closer together it is, the closer my numbers have to be together. So which of these sections are my numbers going to be the closest together? McKenna? The first quartile, because how much space do they have to spread out? They have 2 spaces. Y'all see? 58, 59, 60, that's 2 spaces, right? So my first quartile only has 2 spaces to spread out. So those numbers are going to have to be close together. Which quartile has the most room to spread out? Which quartile has the most room to spread out? Jacob? The third quartile, because it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces that it can spread out. Okay. How much of the data is going to be between 68 and 72?
50%.
68 and 72, not 50%, 68 and 72. Between 68 and 72. Daniela? How much of the data is going to be between 68 and 72? Zach? 25%. How much of the data is between 58 and 72%? Tanner? 100. That's all of the data. How much of the data is between 58 and 63%? Alexandra? 50%, because it's those two pieces. So here's the important thing to remember with box and whisker. We need to remember which part is my box and which part is my whisker. And then I need to remember each piece is how much? 25%. If you can remember those two things, then we're good. All right, so let's answer our question down here. On letter A, it says, what percent is between 60 and 68? So what percent is in the entire box? Jacob?
50%.
50%. Because that's the 25 and the 25 for the entire box. Are we okay with that? Okay. Half of the data is higher than what number? Half of the data has to be higher than what number? Half of the data higher than what number? What do you think, Tyler? 63, because the 63 is the median, 63 is the middle, so that splits it in half. So yes, half of the data is higher than 63. Half of the data is lower than what number? 63. It's the same question, right? All right. Are there any questions about that first example? So y'all ready to do one a little bit more independently, maybe? All right. First thing I'm going to do on example 1, make a box and whisker plot. What do I need to do first? Willie, what do I need to do first to make a box and whisker plot? Sorry, it's getting a little scratchy back there. We do need to find the median in those things, but before I can do that, what do I need to do? Before I can just start finding stuff, Chandler?
Put them in least to greatest.
I need to put them in order from least to greatest. So what number am I going to start with here, Luke?
You're going to start with 60.
60, all right? So I'm just going to write them in order right here. So after 60, so 60, then what, Madison? And how many? Twice, then what, Taylor? After 66, what? 68, how many times? Twice, all right? Then what, Kelly?
74.
How many times? 3. All right, then what, Chandler?
76.
How many times? Then what, Emma?
82.
How many times? And then what, Abby? 86. How many times? 2 times. Okay. It's a lot of numbers, so I'm going to be really careful when I go to find the median here. So I'm going to use my pens kind of starting at the side, 1686, 6686. Guys, here's another thing, because I've noticed some people, when the numbers get long like that, we have trouble keeping track of the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I have 14 numbers here, right? Since it's an even amount, am I going to have one number in the middle or 2? 2. 14. When I split that in half, how many are going to be on both sides? 7. So I should be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That puts me at that 74. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That puts me at that 74. Do I have one number in the middle or 2? 2. Do I circle them?
No.
No. For the median, we're going to draw a line and say, here's my median. So what number is in the middle of 74 and 74? 74. Are y'all okay with our median being 74? Okay. So on the number line, above 74, I'm going to draw a line because that's part of my box. Okay. All right. What else do I need for my box? What else do I need for my box? Daniela? So lower quartile and upper quartile. So again, I know I have 7 and 7. So what's my LQ going to be? Jacob? 68. There's LQ, and I'm going to draw a line. Now, guys, remember, am I drawing my line on my number line or with the numbers I listed? On the number line. It has to be on the number line. All right. What else do I need for my box? Alexandra? And what's that going to be? 82. That second 82. UQ. Okay. Now I'm going to draw a line. So now I should have my box. Okay. What do I need for one of my whiskers? Madison? 60. We need the 60. So I'm going to put a dot there and draw a line connecting it. There's a whisker. All right. What else do I need for a whisker? Chandler? The 86. Okay. So again, I like to ask you some random questions because these are great questions that I could put on a test. What section would my numbers have to be the closest together in? What section would my numbers be the closest together? Jacob? Section 4, the fourth quartile. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth quartile or the second whisker. Okay. All right. Those are closest together because I only have 2 spaces to spread them out, right? Which one would have them spread the furthest apart, Alexandra? The first one or the third? Because these both have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces and 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So the first quartile and the third quartile are spread apart the same amount. Do we agree with that? Okay. What percent is between... What percent is less than 68? What percent would be less than the number 68? What percent of my data is less than the number 68? Daniela? 25, because it's just that one piece. Every single time on a box and whisker, 4 pieces. How much percent are each of them? 25%. Are we okay with that? All right. Letter A, let's find the range. What is the range here? Taylor? 26. So we did 86 minus the 60, and that gave us the 26. Perfect. Did I even need the box and whisker to do the range, Taylor? No. Okay. Okay. What percent is between 68 and 86? Dalton. 75%. So that's where we have 68 to 74. That's 25%. The next box is 25%, and the whisker is 25%. If I put that all together, it gives me what Dalton said, 75%. Are we okay with these 2 questions? All right, let's flip it over. This is our homework, but we're going to go through it together. If we get through it before the bell rings, awesome. Then you don't have homework. If we don't finish it before the bell rings, whatever's left, please finish for homework. I think we should be able to finish it. All right. Number 1, what do I need to do first? Alexandra. List them in order, because it does tell me up here to make a box and whisker, and then I'm going to answer these questions. So I'm going to put them in order. So I have 1, then 2, make sure we write that 3 times, then 4 twice, then 7, then 8 twice, and then 9. So again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers. So how many should be on both sides of the median? 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puts me at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puts me at 4. So I should be in the middle of those. Are y'all okay with how I'm doing that? A little bit easier than trying to keep up on the sides. Okay. All right. Oh. What should I have probably drawn at some point? A number line. We got to have that number line to do our box and whisker on. Okay. So I'm going to start my number line at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have space. So do I need to fill it in? Yeah, so I've got to put in a number 10 here. If you have space, we've got to fill it in. If you don't have any space, then you can stop. If you run out of room, you need to make your line longer. All right? So does that make sense? I only put the 10 here because I had room for it. Are y'all okay with that? Do I have to have the 10? Do I have to have the 9? Yes, okay. All right, so my median, what am I going to put above my, where is the median? What is the median at, Dylan? 4, because between 4 and 4 is 4, and I'm going to put a line here. Now remember, guys, if you need to, can you add those and divide by 2? But 4 plus 4 is 8, divided by 2 is 4, okay? So there's my median. What else do I need? Median and what else? Mateo, what's next? 2 for the LQ. So that middle 2, there's my LQ. And I'm going to put a line because that's a part of my box. All right, what else do I need for my box? Hannah? The first 8 for my UQ. Thank you for that description. Perfect. The first 8 for my UQ, and I'm going to put a line. So, guys, here's my box. Which part of the box do I have more space in? The first part or the second part? Jacob? The second one has a lot more space in it. All right, what else do I need? I need whiskers. Abby, where's one of my whiskers going to go?
1.
To 1. That's my smallest. There's a whisker. Where's my other whisker need to go? Madison? Not to 10. To 9, yeah. So be careful. My 10 was an extra number that I had space for, but we're actually going to put it at 9 because that's the largest number in the list. Okay. What is the median here? What is the median? Dylan? 4. That's the middle. 4. What percent is less than 2? What percent is less than 2? Ethan?
5.
So here's my 2. I just have that one piece. Remember, what percent is the whisker? 25%. Each piece is 25%. So since I'm just talking about the whisker here, that's 25% of my graph. Question, Jacob?
So basically if they ask us anything about percents, it's going to be 25?
It's going to be an increment of 25. So it could be 25%. It could be 50%. It could be 75% like we saw right here. Right here. Okay. Because there we were looking at 68 to 86. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Questions about number 1? All right, number 2, guys, the trickiest part about number 2 is all the numbers. It's got a whole lot of numbers. So we're going to be really careful when we write these out. So I'm going to kind of go over here to the side to make sure I have room. So I have 11, and then 13. Make sure we write it twice. And then 14, 3 times. 14, 14, 14. And then 15 twice, and then 16 4 times, and then 17 once, 18 twice, 19 3 times, and 20 twice. And you see I kind of went onto that line over there. I'm okay with that. That's a lot of numbers, so I just want to kind of count up and make sure. I'm going to count my X's and make sure it matches my numbers, okay? So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have 20 X's. How many numbers should I have? 20. Where should my median be? In the middle, so that should be 10 on both sides, right? So I'm going to kind of do 2 things at one time. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that should be 15, 9, 10. So there's where 10 is. And then I'm going to start from the other side and go in 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Did I end up with 10 on both sides? Yeah. So my median is right in the middle of those. Do y'all see that? Are we okay with that? All right. I'm going to go ahead and draw a number line going from 11 to 20. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Ooh, and I did that one perfect. Woo! Go me. If it's not perfect, that's okay. Can you have extra numbers? Absolutely. Can you have too few? No. Make sure you draw it long enough for all your numbers. Guys, the big thing is, did I get a ruler and measure out my marks? No, but they do. Do they look like they're pretty equal? Yeah, just try to draw them as equal as you can because it's going to give me a better picture. All right, so my median, it says, is at, where do we get our median? 16, because it's in the middle of the 16s, right? So I'm going to draw a line at 16. There's my median. Okay. Let's find our LQ. How many were on each side? 10? So I should go in by 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do y'all see how I ended up with 2 numbers again? So my LQ is going to be what? 14. Are y'all okay with how we're doing this? This is kind of review. The LQ and all that should be review. Maybe some good practice. What about my UQ? Alexandra? I didn't get 19. Locke? I didn't get that. 18.5. So when I count over, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I ended up between 18 and 19. Do y'all see that? So double check. Make sure you have all your numbers listed. What number is between 18 and 19? 18.5 or 18 and a half. Guys, if my UQ is between 18 and 19, I'm going to draw my line between 18 and 19. Do y'all see that? Kind of cool how that worked out. Looks the same, okay? Let's connect that for our box. Okay. What number do I need for a whisker? Abby? 11. What's another number I need for a whisker, Zach? 20. Awesome. Okay. All right, Jacob. What percent is between 14 and 18.5? 50%, because that's my entire box. I'm going to write it next to the question mark so it doesn't look like it's part of my numbers. 50%. Are y'all okay with where we got 50% from? Okay. What is the range? What is the range? Zach? 9. We do 20 minus 11, which equals 9. Okay. Number 3. Number 3. Box and Whiskers done. That's awesome, right? All we got to do is answer some questions. Y'all ready for that? All right. The company, compare the range of each company's sales. So I have like company A, there's a Box and Whisker, company B. Guys, this would just be called a double Box and Whisker because I got 2 Box and Whisker, okay? Let's talk about, for the compare, guys, let's just find company A. How am I going to find company A's range? What am I going to find for the range there? Or what am I going to do? Luke?
You're going to subtract 23 by 31.
And what do I get when I subtract my 31 minus the 23?
You get 8.
8. All right. What is the range for company B? What is the range for company B, Willie? 11, because I do 26 minus 15. I get 11. So which company had, we're talking about video games sold, which company had sales that were closer together and which one had sales that were further apart?
Company A had sales that were closer together, and company B had sales that were further.
Company A sales were closer, company B's sales were further away from each other. Do we agree with that? Okay. All right, compare the median. What was the median for company A? What was the median for company A? Alexandra? 28. I'm not seeing 0.5. When I go down, it goes straight to 28. Do y'all agree? Okay, so I got 28 for company A. What's my company B? What's my median for company B? It's a little bit easier to see since it's closer to the number line. Locker? 20. Okay, so company A, company B, we got our range and we got our median. Y'all okay with that? All right, C, this is where you got to use your brain a little bit. We talked about some of it kind of at the beginning of class, even though you didn't realize that's what we were doing. It says, which company appears to be more predictable in the number of sales it might make in a week? What does the word predictable mean? What does that mean here? What is it asking me about? Jacob?
Predicting.
Like predicting, like can you guess? Which one could we guess more accurately? Luke, what do you think?
I think company B is because the graph shows that like it's more consistent on each like quarter of the thing. It's more consistent, and on company A it has some that are like way shorter and some that are like way longer.
Okay, so remember, but what these boxes mean is that's how far it can spread out. So this can spread out 11 different spaces for company B. Company A, can it spread out that much? No, so that's kind of, remember, our boxes don't mean that it's more consistent. Our boxes mean it has more space to where it could do really whatever it wants. Dylan?
Company A would be easier, or would be more predictable because the range is closer together, so is the, like, yeah.
Okay, so I like that. So Dylan says he thinks company A because the range is closer together, which means my sales have to be closer together. So we can say company A because the range is closer together. So the sale numbers must be closer together. All right, what if I did it without looking at the range? What if instead of saying company A because the range is closer together, the sale numbers are closer together, what could I replace the word range with? Jacob? Lock. Closer. Dylan? Quartiles. So kind of like what Luke was saying right there, these quartiles, do you see how these are a little bit closer than company B? These look more, like you said, Luke, these do look more consistent, but these are going to be smaller groups. So could I also say company A because the quartiles are in smaller groups. I like that description even better. The quartiles are in smaller groups, so the sale numbers must be closer together. So you could talk about the range being closer or the quartiles being closer. Are there questions about box and whiskers, guys? All right, so we kind of did our homework together. What do I want you to be able to come in and tell me tomorrow? The 5 pieces of a box and whisker. What makes your box? What makes your whisker? And how much is in each piece. So 25%, 25%, 25%. If you can make sure that you know that tonight, on Thursday and Friday, getting ready for that test, box and whisker, that's what you'll need, okay?